Hey guys, it's Jane. It is the beginning of June, and I am here to update you on my May finds and solds. We're doing something a little bit different for this video because in the past I've only been posting videos like once a month or so, and this time I thought maybe I would update you a little bit sooner compared to the last video, which I believe I posted in mid-May. So you're only essentially going to be seeing things that I've purchased for about the next 2 weeks versus an entire month, because what I'm going to try to do is post a little bit more frequently depending on, you know, what's going on and things like that. Plus, I do have updates with the painting that we talked about, so that's really exciting, and I wanted to share that with you. And so, because I don't have as much stuff to show you, not everything is laid out on the table here, so I'm just going to kind of show you items one by one. And also, I've noticed in the past that some of my videos were coming out a little bit too shaky. So I have this kind of ring light phone holder contraption that I'm holding right now. It has like a clamp on it to where I should be able to clamp it on something, but I don't really know. I don't have anything that I can clamp it on in front of me here. So I'm essentially just holding that while it is holding the phone. So I'm hoping that that will reduce some of the shakiness for you. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over things that I found since the last video and things that have sold. So a few of these items are going to be items that I keep for myself, and then others will be things that I'm going to sell. So first up is this super cute pillow, which is a find that I'm going to keep, and it's not vintage. I think it's Pottery Barn, but I found it at that consignment shop and deal that I like to go to, that I've spoken about in my previous videos, and it's a snail. It is just super, super cute. It's like a nice little small size pillow, and they were only charging like $6 and change for it, so... And a snail is like my spirit animal. I mean, I know that phrase is overused, but yeah, I just love it. I think it's super cute. The color is cute. So yeah, I had to pick that up. And when I had gone there, I think it was just like one of those round trips where we had gone down to we had gone down to see Donna at her shop called Spice, and we went to a couple other little vintagey stores down there that we like, and then I figured I would stop into the Second Wind Consignments because I was already down there. And so that day, surprisingly, this is the only thing I walked away with, but nevertheless I had to have it. Super, super cute. So yeah, let me get to the next item here. Okay, so this next round of items is going to be things that I found at a local yard sale. It was local to Annapolis, and the woman who was sort of hosting it she's an owner of a couple of booths at the Antiques at Annapolis store, and so she was explaining that she does it 3 times a year, these yard sales, and she likes to host them as a community yard sale and open it up to the other people in the community if they want to participate and sell some of their items. And this is the first time I had heard of it. So I went over there and checked that out. And so I only ended up spending $23 there, and I got quite a few things. So the first thing was this pillow, which is just beautiful. It's this embroidered floral pillow, and they call this type of embroidery crewel, C-R-E-W-E-L, which I believe is just the name of the type of embroidery because of the fact that it's so, it has like layers to it, almost. Like, you can see like some of the flowers are kind of like 3D, and it's just got beautiful coloring to it. Some of the background has a little bit of pilling on it, but otherwise there's like no stains or holes or anything. And it looks like down in the corner here, the person who did it kind of left their mark on it. And so this one lady who was at the community yard sale, she was selling a bunch of stuff, and so she sold this to me for $1, which was great. And I believe I posted that up online for $28. Okay, the next couple of items here were from the same woman. She had a bin of 50-cent items, so I believe I only paid 50 cents for both of these, so I paid $1 each. So the first is just this little pair of blue mini vases. They say made in Japan on the bottom there. I know it's kind of dark in here. Made in Japan. And they kind of just reminded me of like little mini Roseville. And yeah, Roseville vases. And they don't have any chips or cracks or anything like that, which I thought was great. And people are getting really into the miniature stuff. It's really taking off. So I picked those up for 50 cents, and I believe I put those up for 12. So those were cool. And then the other thing she had was this little brown vase, and I recognized the brand name when I turned it over. And this is a brand called Takahashi, and it's made in Japan. And Takahashi is a very well-known pottery brand, and they just always do like really beautiful glazing on their pieces. So I couldn't pass that up. So that's just a little bud vase. So I paid 50 cents for that, and I believe I have that up for $18. They typically go for $18 to $22. The next thing I got from her was in a $1 box, so essentially I paid 50 cents a piece for these. Unfortunately, I didn't realize when I purchased them that one does have a little bit of damage, but for $1, you know, it doesn't really matter much to me. So these are just really cool, fun, colorful candle holders, and they're pottery candle holders. One of them doesn't have the little insert, but those are easily found, so that's no big deal. But this one does have a little bit of a surface chip there. It's an older chip, and you can tell because it's very soft and worn. There's no sharp edges to it. But I just really thought those were fun, super colorful for summertime. So yeah, because of the damage, I think I am only going to have those up for 12 or 15. But if they were in better condition, I might be able to get, you know, 20 to 25 for them. So yeah, those were fun. Another little piece I got from her for $1 is this beautiful, very colorful enameled jewelry box made in India. And it's metal, and it's got the beautiful coloring on it. And then when you open it up, it's got this blue velvety lining. I don't know if you can see that. It's very dark in here, guys. Sorry. But yeah, blue velvet lining in there, really pretty. And so yeah, I just thought that was really, really fun for $1. You know, it's a little dented in some spots, but I think it's still, you know, it's usable, it's pretty, no big deal. If it was in better condition and a little bit bigger, I might be able to get 30 to 35 for it, but I think I went ahead and put mine up for 20 or 25. And then the last thing I got from her is not here because I actually already sold it. But it was a set of 5 Hazel Atlas rocks glasses. And so Hazel Atlas had a lot of different designs to their drinking glasses, and they're very MCM in style. And the ones that she had, they had antelope or deer on them. And so there was a set of 2 blue, 2 white, and then 1 red. And so I think because of the fact that she only had 5 and it wasn't a full set, that's probably why she was selling them. But I'm going to post a picture here for you to see them. And so she gave all of those to me for $1, and I was able to sell those to a local buyer for $25. Okay, so the next little bit of things I purchased from the woman who was hosting the yard sale. Again, she is, I think, I don't think I mentioned her name in the beginning of the video, but she has booths, and her company, or her name for her booth, is called Yorkshire Rose. And so she was there, and she had a bunch of neat things. And so I got 4 items from her, 2 of which are here, 1 of which is in the kitchen, and I'll just post a picture of that for you in a minute so you can see it. And then another one I have already sold. So the first is these cute little salt and pepper shakers that are just gold salt and pepper shakers, and they've got their little corks in the bottom, and they say made in Japan. And I just thought those were super cute. Again, the miniature thing is back in style right now, so I thought somebody might want to have those. And she actually gave those to me for free, thrown in with some of the other items that I purchased. So yeah, whatever I make on those will be gravy, essentially. Probably maybe $8 to $10 for those. No big deal. And then this lamp, which I am like a lamp freak. If it's a lamp or a vase, I'm probably going to buy it. Let's just be honest. So this little lamp is beautiful. It's an iris flower, and let's see what the company is here. Yeah, Fukagawa porcelain, made in Japan. And I just thought it was really sweet. It's nice and compact, easy to pack, easy to ship. And so, and I love the wood detailing on it as well. The other ones that I found online are actual just vases, and none of them I've seen have been made into lamps. So I went ahead and put mine up for $35. I purchased this for $3, so that was a great deal. And then I put it up for $35. So that's great. And it does work, and the wiring is fine and everything. So that's great. And then the other 2, I'll post a picture right here for you. The first is a little vintage, like pottery handmade wind chime. And it has like a little cat on the top of it, and it's orange and yellow. So very like 70s in style. So I thought that was cool. I believe I only paid $3 for that as well. And then the most exciting thing that that I got from her was a set. It's got like a sugar and creamer and a tray, a serving tray, and it's by a company called Royal Winton. And I bought that for $10, and so I took that home and realized that it's actually a rarer pattern, and so I went ahead and put that up for $60, and that sold within a few days to an international buyer, so that was exciting. I probably could have gotten a little bit more money for it, because I noticed when I was researching online that I was the only person who had that specific serving set. You could find other people who had just the creamer or the sugar or plates or whatever, but I was the only person who had that full 3-piece set, so I probably could have listed it for a little bit more, but I'm actually trying to be a little bit more, I don't want to say reasonable, because I already feel like my prices are reasonable, but I'm trying to be a little bit more cost effective with my pricing so that way my inventory will move a little bit faster. So I actually just recently revamped my whole eBay shop purchased that for $60, and so that has sold. So that was great. Let's see. So yeah, I think those are everything from her. And then there was one other person that I purchased from, and I'll show you those items now. Okay, so yeah, this other lady, I finished with the main road, with the Yorkshire Rose woman, and then the woman across the street who gave me like all the things for $1. And so I finished there, and then I drove around to see if anybody else was participating. And there was another woman who had a couple of boxes out on the corner, and so I stopped by and saw what she had. And these are a couple of little items that I purchased from her for $3 total. So the first is this sweet little vase. Again, if it's a vase, I'm going to buy it. No big deal. It's vintage, though. It has a tag on here that says made in Taiwan. So 9 times out of 10 when you see that, that'll give you an indication that it's a little older. And so, and the fact that it didn't have any chips or breaks on it, was great. And it's just this little hand-painted vase, and I like the color. So that was great. And then the more exciting thing is this beautiful book. So this is the 150th Anniversary Deluxe Edition, the Annotated Alice. And so basically it has pretty much all of the Alice information you could ever want, Alice in Wonderland. So it's got manuscripts and illustrations and the history of the story and different depictions of the story, and just all throughout time how the story has changed or how it's influenced other writers and things like that. Lots of great information in here. I'm a huge Alice in Wonderland fan, so I'm going to take some time to look through this myself just to enjoy it. But I probably will go ahead and let this go, because we're actually in the process of sorting through and going through our books and our DVDs, because we just feel like they're taking up way too much room, and there's a lot of books that are unfortunately just sitting on the shelf and not being read. So I am going to look through it a little bit, but what's great about this is that this book is being sold for $40 to $50 on eBay. So once I'm done with it, I'll go ahead and throw that up there. So it's great, and I just love the cover and the illustrations and everything. Super cool. Okay, so the next few items are some eBay items, one of which I will, again, post a picture for you, because it's a little bit larger and I don't want to, get it out and set it up and everything. The first is this reference book that I purchased from a favorite YouTuber of mine called Manor House Vintage. And so she sold this to me for $10 plus shipping. And so I love a good reference book when it comes to antiques and things like that, because the best way to make sure that your information is reliable and accurate is to have a reference book. So because a lot of times people will incorrectly identify pieces, they will incorrectly identify the year they were made, the style that they are called, the pattern, etc. Most of the time they're right, but sometimes they're not. So when you have the actual physical book in your hands, it's really helpful just to be able to flip through and say, oh yeah, it's this pattern, this is when it was made, this is, how it was made, all of that kind of stuff. So, and I'm not as familiar with Limoges pieces, so I like to have reference books on things that I'm not as familiar with, so that way I can continue learning. The only thing I would say about these reference books, a lot of times they have values listed in them, and I've spoken about this before in previous videos. You don't want to rely on that, because obviously values change constantly, and with a lot of these books are older, and so the pricing is not going to be accurate. So I don't buy them for value information. I buy them for the information of the actual piece. So yeah, but either way, I always love a good reference book. The other thing I bought was this Annapolis, Maryland mug. It's got like a salt glaze on it. So it's a type of pottery. It's salt glaze pottery. And it's signed on the bottom there. I can't quite make out the signature. But what's really cool about this and exciting about this is that my husband and I collect these mugs. And we've only collected mugs of areas that we've lived in. And we've always lived in Maryland, but there's different cities that they make these mugs for. So we have a few others in our cabinet, and I've been looking for an Annapolis one forever. And anytime I've seen one, they've been priced like crazy, and I didn't want to pay that much. So there was a woman on eBay that sold this to me for $14 plus shipping, which I thought was very reasonable. But so yeah, that's definitely to keep. So yeah, that was exciting for me. And then the third thing I purchased on eBay, which I was really excited about, was a mixer. And of course, me being me, I wanted it to be vintage. I thought about getting a KitchenAid mixer, but most of them are way too expensive, and I don't bake enough to justify the cost. And I also wanted a mixer where I could change out the bowl underneath, and most mixers today, you can't do that. So the mixer that I purchased, you can actually change like the bowl and have like a smaller bowl or a larger bowl if you want, and it's got a bunch of different settings on it. And so what prompted me to purchase it is because I had a hand mixer for years and years and years that was my father's, and it was a Sunbeam. And Sunbeam brand, especially like the older stuff, that stuff goes forever and ever and ever, like Energizer Bunny. It's so well made. And so this mixer that he had had forever finally gave out. And so I went ahead and did some research, and I was able to find a Sunbeam Mixmaster in chrome, which is super cool. Because my kitchen, I've spoken about it before, I have a Coca-Cola kitchen, and I have a chrome bread box, and like, you know, a toaster that's red with chrome detail and all this. So I thought a chrome mixer would go really well. So I was just super excited about it, and there was a guy online who was selling it. It was super clean, in like brand new condition, even though it's a vintage piece, and he had it up there for like $40 to bid on, and I got it for $45. So that was awesome. So yeah, I'll be posting pictures of that as I'm talking about it here so you can see. Okay, so this last little grouping here, kind of like a theme. I didn't even mean it to be, but it's like a yellow and brown theme. One of these was purchased in deal at Donna's. Another one was purchased at Second Wind Consignments that I had purchased originally to keep, but I've decided to go ahead and sell it. Another was a Goodwill purchase recently, and finally another was purchased at the little church thrift store in Edgewater that I go to. I purchased it a while ago, but I don't think I talked about it because I wasn't planning on selling it, but again, I've decided to let it go. So the first thing is the Joy Thrift little star basket here. It's just this like little brownish gold basket, and I thought that might be cool for, you know, 4th of July time, or, you know, just something like patriotic. And baskets are another thing that I feel like are coming back. So I got that for like 50 cents, and I think I put it up there for like 10 or 12. So that was the first one. The next one was the vase that I bought from Second Wind Consignments. I am not able to verify who the maker of this vase is. However, I've seen similar patterned and colored glass from a Italian glassmaker called Empoli, which I've spoken about before, and I'll post a couple of pictures of those similar items so you can see. What's making me think that it's not Empoli is that it's a little bit uneven on the top here, where it's kind of slanted, and the pattern isn't as even on the top. I may have talked about this in another video, I'm not sure. But yeah, initially I was going to keep it for me, and I've decided to go ahead and let it go, because I just have too much stuff. But it's really heavy, thick quality glass either way, and it's got a nice smooth bottom here. It's almost like a spider web pattern, so that's kind of fun. Maybe I'll post it for like around Halloween time or something. I don't know. So that was cool. Probably post that for 35 or so. The next thing is this awesome owl that I got at Goodwill recently. He's just super cool, and I am a big fan of splatterware pieces. It's so 1970s. And I was able to figure out the name of the mold, but I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. But yeah, it's vintage. There's no damage to it whatsoever. And he just looks mean. Like, he looks like he's judging you. But he's awesome. So I went ahead and put him up online, I think for 20 or 25. So that was cool. And I think I paid up for him. I think I paid like $8.99 for him, but I couldn't leave him behind. And then the last thing was this purse, which I got from Donna at Spice for me. And I bought it for summertime, so I thought it would be really fun to use for summer because it's a really nice cheery yellow color. But I really loved the wooden handles, and she told me these were actually made of coconut shell, which I thought was super cool. And she sold that to me for $5, you guys. So that's super reasonable. And yeah, it's on both sides. It's on the sides here, the bottom. And there didn't appear to be any damage or anything like that. My husband initially was like not a big fan, but every day that I've used this purse so far, which hasn't been long, I've gotten at least three compliments a day. So he said, he made a joke about it earlier. He said, yeah, so clearly I was wrong about the purse because everybody's been loving it so far. So yeah, I got that for $5. So I'm going to be holding on to that for summertime. And then, you know, down the line, if I get tired of it, I'll go ahead and post that for sale. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to talk about before the big update is I made a little bit of an oopsie the other day when I had gone to Goodwill. And I actually went with my husband because I wanted to do some clothes shopping to get some new summertime tops because I realized like I was severely lacking in summertime clothing. And you know, I don't like to pay full price for anything, even though I will say the clothing prices at Goodwill are getting a little out of hand. But still, I felt good about it, about what I paid and everything. So I was able to get some shirts. But other than that, I saw a lady, she had a cart, and she was like shelving things. And I saw something in the bottom of her cart, which I recognized what it was because of another YouTuber that I watch. And her channel is called Chapter 2 Vintage Co. And recently she bought a couple of things that are in this style. And so I saw it. I knew that it was something good. And I like kind of stalked the lady a little bit. And I waited for her to walk away from the cart because you're allowed to like look through the Goodwill carts at my Goodwills. And so I waited for her to walk away. I took it out of her cart and I put it in my cart to purchase because it was already priced and everything. It was $15. And this is before I looked at clothes and all that. So I was like walking around, I put it in the cart. And then I thought, you know, I'm really supposed to be here for clothes shopping. This thing is kind of big and bulky and I really don't feel like I should be spending $15 on this right now. So I was trying to be good, you guys, but like I didn't take the time to like look it up on my phone. I didn't take the time to like consider what I knew about it. I just kind of had like a brain cloud moment and decided like to put it back. But I was kicking myself after because, and I'll post a picture of it here. And what this is a humidor, and was most likely not antique. It was most likely a reproduction, but still, it was gorgeous, and it had like this caged bubble glass behind this brass, and it had the lid, and like nothing was wrong with it at all. So, you know, I get home and then I'm like looking it up, and, you know, it's like selling for, you know, $150, $200, $250, $300. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I literally just let this thing slip through my fingers. It was in my cart and I just decided against it. So, but you know, ultimately I feel okay about it because again, did I need to be spending that money on it? No. But you know, still, those kind of things hurt a little bit when you realize, you know, what was something you could have sold, the value that you could have gotten from it, whatever. So yeah. Anyway, lost out on that, so that's okay. But I am on to the big update. So, the painting that we talked about, right? I have it on my bedroom wall behind me. I'm going to put a picture here for you to see it, because it's better to have a picture rather than me trying to hold it up and show you on the wall. So yeah, you guys know, I purchased this painting for under $30 at the consignment shop in Deal. I took it home. I purchased it solely because I liked the design. I liked the shadowing on it, and I liked the subject matter, which is carnations, which is my grandmother and I's birth flower, and she recently passed away within the last couple of years. And the coloring on the picture matches my decor in my bedroom. The frame was beautiful, etc., etc. I literally just bought it for me to decorate with. Well, I get it home. I told you guys in the last video, I got it home. I was curious about trying to see if there was any kind of signature on it, because I could kind of tell when I got it home, because they had it wrapped up in plastic. I didn't really get a great look at it, because originally when I purchased it online and then went to pick it up. So when I picked it up, it was wrapped in plastic. When I got it home, it was apparent to me fairly quickly that it was an actual painting. It wasn't a print. I got it home, got my jeweler's loop out, turned the little light on, and looked down at the bottom corners. You couldn't see a signature when you just looked at it like straight on, like in that normal light. But when I put my jeweler's loop up there, the signature appeared. And I was very excited at that point, because I felt like the consignment shop made a mistake and they didn't realize what they had, because when they sold it to me, they didn't call it a painting. They just said it was a picture or wall decor or something like that. They didn't name the artist. They didn't do any of that. So I don't even think they realized what this was. So I was really excited. I stayed up way too late trying to like research the artist. And I'm going to pause here for you so I can tell you the name. Okay, so the artist's name is John Mora. And I was able to find his website, and he still has, you know, paintings for sale. He's still active. And I was scrolling through his catalog and his, like his archived work and everything like that. And this painting wasn't on there. But I definitely recognized the signature as being his. And so the great thing about the fact that he was still active, I was able to actually reach out to him through his website and explained, like, hey, I have this painting that I believe is yours. Could you contact me? So, yeah, so I contacted him through the website and then, like, gave him my contact information. And then he reached out to me via phone and left a voicemail. I didn't answer the phone at the time because the number wasn't recognizable, and I was also dealing with the flu, so I didn't pick up the phone originally. But then a few days later, when I was feeling better, he had called again, and I said, okay, oh, it's John Mora, it's the artist. So I talked to him, and I was able to send him photos of the painting via text, and then he, like, as I'm sending the photos over the phone, he gets them and he's talking to me and he's like, oh my gosh, like, I recognize this painting, like, this is my painting. And so he was, like, super excited about it. I was super excited that he was able to verify that it was in fact his. And so the thing was, like, I couldn't tell, because I could see his name on it, but then there was like a year and I couldn't tell the year on there, whether it was like 04, meaning 2004, or 94. And so I was explaining that to him, and he said, yeah, this is definitely like pretty much like pre-internet time. So this definitely would have been like 93, 94 time frame. He said he painted it and put it up for an art show in San Francisco. And he was explaining like the type of varnish that he used on it. He said he'd have to look back in his like logs of his artwork to really like pinpoint the time frame or pinpoint like where and when he painted it, but he definitely verified that it was his and all of that. And so we talked a little bit about some of the other artists that he knew from that time and like some of the other work that he had created during that time. And then he was asking me some questions about it, and he asked me like, because he couldn't remember, he says, what's the size of it? So I told him the dimensions and all of that. And then he asked me, how I came about it and everything. And at first I was kind of skirting around that question because I didn't want him to feel like offended or whatever. So, but anyway, I did tell him that I purchased it because I wanted to keep it as decor in my bedroom. And I really loved the techniques that he used, the shadow work that he did, the way the light comes through, everything about it, the subject matter, all that. I talked to him about my grandmother. It was really nice. And so, then he asked me like, well, are you looking to know anything about value? And I said, well, sure. So yeah, that's when he kind of asked me about the dimensions of it and everything. And then he said that, given the dimensions of the piece and like when it was created and everything like that, he said, usually when a painting is at, like an art show, the value is usually doubled in price, which I didn't realize this, but it was really interesting what he was saying. The value of a painting is usually doubled at an art show because the people who are hosting the show need to make money and they need to pay for like their overhead cost. And then, whatever that basically like half of that value is the true value of the work. So anyway, yeah, he said if he was to put this up in his gallery to sell today, he would sell it for around $4,000. And he said if it was to be put up at auction, I could expect, $8,000 and up, depending. So that was super exciting information. I was blown away. And then, of course, he explicitly asked me, okay, he literally said, like, I have to ask you, like, how much did you pay for this? Because I told him where I got it. I told him I got it at a consignment shop, my local consignment shop in Maryland. And, so then he finally came out with that question, and I was honest with him. I said, I really was hoping you weren't going to ask that question, because I don't really want to tell you. And then so he was kind of laughing, and he said, it's okay. He said, artists go through this a lot. people have pieces and then they don't realize what they are, or a relative passes away and they're just trying to get rid of stuff or whatever. So then like the value, isn't realized. And so I was still kind of hesitating. And then he said, okay, listen, he said, you bought it for what, $100? I said, no. And he said, $50? And I said, no. And then he was like really laughing at this point. We were both cracking up. And I said, yeah, I've got it for $28. And he said, the frame is worth more than that. My gosh. So, yeah, so I felt horrible that he had to find that out. But at the same time, he was a really good sport about it. And he was explaining, like, if I wanted to get it revarnished, he said, if I was to get it revarnished, the coloring would probably come through even more to make it more beautiful. Just explaining like what kind of varnish might be good for it. And, that like a local painter would probably do that for free. Cause he said, if I take it to like a restoration place, they're going to charge me quite a bit. But so yeah, he was great. Gave me a lot of good information on that. And so, yeah, that's super exciting. Yeah, so to be honest with you, like, I'm going to hold on to it for as long as I can, just because, again, of the memory of the conversation is super cool. And honestly, the fact is, like, I bought it for me. I didn't buy it to resell. And, the fact that it's worth a lot of money is great, but at the same time, like I explained to him, like, I'm not looking to just turn a profit on this. Like, I really enjoy your work and I really appreciated it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to hold on to that for a rainy day until, maybe we need to like put a down payment on a house or, get a new car or whatever. Then maybe it'll come in handy as far as like selling it. But even then, I honestly don't know where to go with that. I mean, I guess maybe I would contact like an auction house or something, because I've never had anything of that great of value. So this is the first time I've ever had anything like this. So as far as avenues to resell that, I'm really going to have to like do research on that whenever that time comes. So yeah, so that is the big exciting update for you guys. And that's pretty much my best find to date. So, forget the humidor. We have a painting that's thousands of dollars value. So that's awesome. But yeah, that's hanging up above my bed, and it will stay there until I desperately need it to go. And if not, I will hold on to it. That's the other thing about some of these things is like, especially if they have a higher value, I feel like they should be viewed as investment pieces, not something that should just be quickly turned around and sold. A lot of times it's better to hold on to things for a while and just let them appreciate in value, and especially something like that, that could be considered like an heirloom, to pass down to future family members. So, you really have to be careful when you think about that. It's not all about money. I mean, like, yes, that's why I started this in the first place, but I mean, I truly appreciate vintage and antique items, and I truly appreciate art. So, yeah, it's really not all about money for me. But yeah, I still wanted to share that with you because that's really exciting and really cool. So yeah. And now we're going to go ahead and get into the solds for May. And then I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Take care.